Well, good morning. My name is Mark and I'm one of the New Testament team here at SMBC. But before I worked at SMBC, I used to work for an organisation called the Centre for Public Christianity. And they continue to be a wonderful group of people representing Christ and his people. You might know them by the abbreviation CPX. But the name always tripped people up. People are always asking, what is public Christianity? And so my definition, not necessarily theirs or anyone else's, but my definition is that public Christianity is where Christianity or the way Christianity is proclaimed and perceived in the public square. And the final words there are really crucially important because the public square is not the church hall. You can curate the environment in many ways in a church hall, and it's easier to speak, and the way you are heard is different. But public Christianity is how Christianity sounds and feels and looks when you're not on home turf. Could be the news media, could be a community festival, could be anywhere where the general public is thinking and talking and relating and where you don't get to define the space. And much of Christian ministry takes place in private, in cafe conversations. Even church might be regarded as a private space, but there is a place and value to talking about God in public. And the first time I gave a spot like this was in 2022, just after I'd been employed here. And it's fun to think how things have changed over the last 4 years. In some respects, nothing has changed. I don't expect that there will be a radical change in this year's census, for example, with regards to the decline in Christian affiliation in this nation. And yet things have also been different over those last 4 years. So in 2025, a report was released claiming a quiet revival was happening, particularly in Britain. Church attendance was up, particularly with younger men. Social media posts were prepared, podcasts were recorded, news stories were filed. And then in 2026, much of that report was pulled because the statistical data was flawed. And yet for a whole year, people were saying, well, this is actually accurately describing what I'm seeing and encountering in church services around the Western world, that young people are desiring a spiritual experience. The church attendance was up. So the public square is a fascinating space. It's a place where you see public conversions, like Ayaan Hirsi Ali and potentially also her husband, Niall Ferguson. But you also see deconversions, like that of Josh Harris in the United States, who reigned supreme in the 1990s, guiding people as to how to date and shared the stage with John Piper, but now has publicly apostatized. What's it like to speak about God in public? It's complicated. That's the basic thing. So last night for a giggle, I decided to go to the ABC website and type in the search term Christianity. Now, I know many people would have wildly variable opinions about our national broadcaster, but can I say, as someone who's worked in the space, that they are the easiest people to actually get published with regards to religious material. The Daily Telegraph is the hardest. But it's complicated. The first result that came back was about Christianity and its relationship to Pauline Hanson's suggestion of monoculture. The next story was a Triple J radio discussion of an LGBTQIA+ creative troupe who were using a deconsecrated church as their venue, but who had been evicted for practicing offensive trade. The third story was on Christian faith in Pacifica politics. The next page was two more stories on Pacifica realities, followed by a story of historic sexual abuse. The next page was the story of an individual Christian doing remarkable things in adoption, and then also doing remarkable things about keeping children with their Tanzanian parents. Immediately followed by another story of historic sexual abuse, and then a story of a parliamentarian trying to remove the Lord's Prayer. How Christianity is proclaimed and perceived in the public square is complicated. And there's more than one thing going on in the public square, and there's more than one thing to say. So, for example, what is going on in the public square? On the one hand, there are longings in the public square. Longings for hope, for truth, for love. Movies and monuments and moments express the desire to find something real and true. But there's also guilt and judgment going on in the public square. A culture that celebrates sin, a culture that experiences judgment because they're choosing broken cisterns from which to get water from. In the public square, you find shame, people who are marginalized and treated with dishonor. In the public square, you find fears, whether it be in the way we vote, Or in the horror movies we watch, the public is afraid of many things. In the public square, you find injustice. Sometimes the public sees it. Sometimes we're pointing it out to them. There's no one and exact and identical way to speak in public to all of these possibilities at any one moment. There is one gospel, but the way we speak, the posture we adopt can vary depending upon what we're trying to address. And there are many Christian voices, Christian influences, Christian organizations, but what is noticeable is about how each of them seems tempted to think there is only one way to do the public Christianity thing. We probably need many voices, many organizations to speak to all of those realities. But here is the one thing I would say to all of them. There is a godly desire for us to defend the gospel in the public square. But I would say there's a way of defending the gospel which destroys the possibility of commending the gospel. That there's a way that you can try and communicate the truth of the gospel and actually cause people not to see that truth because of the way you speak. And it's where I cannot see the goodness of the gospel because your points drip with snark and your life reeks of inhospitality. It's perfect for TikTok. It's perfect for your Insta reel. It's not perfect for disciples. It's where I cannot see the beauty of the gospel because all you want to do is win. And in the end, if all you want to do is win, in the end, you'll choose to win ugly. So at regular intervals in Principles Hour throughout this semester, I'm going to be popping up to consider public Christianity, how we live and speak in public in a way that might commend the gospel to all people, in private and in public, to be able to show that this is good news for the world, even when we're saying something hard. And so may it be that we fit ourselves for that task of speaking with the gentleness and mercy of the Christ we proclaim.